Good day everybody, this is westernpacificweather.com with our first video update for Tropical Storm Maon. It is the 13th of July 2011, 0730 Zulu, 3:30 p.m. Philippine time or 4:30 p.m. Japan time. We have our first video update for Tropical Storm Maon, which seems to be rapidly intensifying now over the western Pacific Ocean. It was last located 990 kilometers northeast of Guam and the northern Mariana Islands, with maximum sustained winds of 95 kph gusting up to 120 kph. Maon is now moving west-northwestward at 20 kilometers per hour. Latest news and warnings from about Tropical Storm Maon. We have here a Tropical Storm Watch issued by the National Weather Service Guam for the islands of Pagan, Alamagan and Agrihan, expecting tropical storm force winds of as much as 40 miles per hour. Beginning tonight and into tomorrow as the storm center passes well north of the region. Although they are expecting the storm to intensify, perhaps attaining typhoon category by tomorrow. It's definitely expanding that wind field, and definitely some rough waves and strong winds for the region for the next 24 to 36 hours. So definitely stay updated and be prepared, and always watch and read the latest updates and forecasts from the National Weather Service. Updates with prompt updates and intermediate advisories by that agency. And moving on to Maon with the infrared here. Latest infrared image around 07 Zulu just an hour ago. Latest data here showing this cold cloud tops south of the center. You can see in this IR image what seems to be an eye forming again because earlier today, around 6 to 8 hours ago, this storm actually looked relatively better. You can see in this 2232 Zulu image, IR image, I can see this eye, circular eye again, and then that rings of convection now forming around that eye. Unfortunately, the storm went on a brief weakening trend for about 3 to 5 hours before refiring again. And you can see here in this latest image with the cold cloud tops again appearing, especially in the southern side of the center. You can also see in the western periphery also have that cold cloud tops, although not as good yet as it looked about 6 to 8 hours ago with that convective activity there. But it looks like the trend is back onto a strengthening one, and we do expect Maon to continue intensifying for the next 2 days. This is this is also the visual. I was talking about the eye 6 hours ago, and you can also see in this visible satellite here that eye very visible also. We can make out that circular portion. Again, it weakened for about 3 to 4 hours, but seems to be refiring again, so we have to watch that for the next few hours to see if that trend will continue. This is the image taken about 2 hours ago, and compare that with the image an hour ago. You can see it looked better there. And this is also the water vapor image, 07 Zulu again, latest water vapor image. But just an hour ago, you can see that water vapor again becoming much better now compared to about 2 hours ago. You also see here what is called the equatorward outflow channel going southward, helping the storm to intensify at a quick pace. However, you can also see in the northwest, northern side of the center of the storm is empty and devoid of any sort of outflow channel. We do expect some sort of poleward outflow channel. We're just waiting because of this, what is called an upper level trough, or a TUT, or tropical upper tropospheric trough, west of the storm, acting as an impediment for organization in the western periphery. Although we've seen in the latest frames and latest images the trough seems to be moving faster than Maon, so leaving it in some sort of a very favorable upper level environment. Also, typhoons and rapidly intensifying typhoons do have that dual flow channel in terms of outflow poleward and equatorward, to help the storm rapidly intensify, and by as much as 20 to 30 knots every 6 hours, rapid intensification rate of storms with dual outflow. And if and when and Maon develops that outflow channel, we do expect it to literally go bunkers and just rapidly intensify and deepen. We also have here what is called the microwave image, and 6:13 Zulu, 10 hours ago, but roughly 2 hours ago actually, from the SSMI. This is the 37 gigahertz showing the low level activity, and you can also make out what seems to be an eye forming also the low levels. And also here on the 85 gigahertz, same time, 6:13 Zulu, showing you can make out that ring redeveloping again. It's still irregular right now in terms of eye shape, still elongated, although we expect that to become better as the storm intensify further. In terms of conditions, upper level conditions, the storm is in a rather favorable environment with wind shear of 5 to 10 knots, 10 to 20 knots away from the storm center. So see here the 40 to 30 knots of storm caused by the trough excuse me there. And JTWC sorry, noted that Maon is now developing its sort of favorable upper level environment, typical of strong typhoons. They're developing what is an anticyclone overhead, just ventilating the storm and propagating the air around it, and told you about the outflows earlier. Now, as for the forecasts, you can see here this latest computer model tracks at 00 Zulu from 3 models: UKMet, NOGAPS, and the GFS. We don't have CMC and Euro. I'll show that later. You can see these 3 computer models latching on to an idea of an eventual recurvature towards north. They are pretty tightly clustered by around 2 to 3 days, but diverging, and still can't have an agreement on when it will make that recurvature towards Japan. You can see GFS being the eastern outlier, having that early recurvature, and you can see this UKMet forecast intent on moving this westward farther than any model we've seen so far. So we have to keep an eye on this, because if it continues to turn westward, then Okinawa will be the target. However, GFS and NOGAPS showing that eventual recurvature towards Honshu in mainland Japan. We have the CMC here, another computer model, also showing that recurvature, although not as sharp as GFS here in the red line. CMC showing that earlier recurvature, although it shows hitting Honshu, I believe near Sendai here, east of Tokyo, early next week. So very scary forecast there in terms of intensity, but it is going to deepen to about 970 to 960 hectopascals, so very strong typhoon also there. And showing also here we have the sea surface temperatures, very favorable for development and intensification, with 29 to around 30 degrees Celsius, and it will only become colder as it gets northward around 27 north latitude. So and it will that kind of temperature, surface temperature, can maintain a typhoon. Certainly it will only get very cold enough for a cyclone or for a typhoon around once you reach the mainland Japan. So SCMC expecting this to continue intensifying. Euro model, the ECMWF, also showing this. It is some sort of a western outlier at the moment, showing a landfall either Kyushu or Shikoku by around day 6, Tuesday morning Japan time. Also showing this very strong typhoon, very deep cyclone, and a very large wind field affecting Okinawa. As far as Okinawa, as it moves towards mainland Japan. For the steering layer, one of the main things that we use here, the main driver for the storm is the subtropical ridge anchored just southeast of Japan here, and it is driving this storm westward, generally westward, north of the Marianas Islands. And then JTWC, another model, seems to be expecting this ridge to slightly weaken and allowing the tropical storm or future typhoon Maon to recurve towards the north. Again, the critical thing here is when the ridge will weaken, if it does weaken. Now, showing the forecast from official weather bureaus, we'll start with National Weather Service here for those of you watching in Guam and Marianas Islands. Again, showing that a west-northwestward track passing between the northern Marianas Islands and Iwatu Islands of Japan, south of that region. Again, showing that that wind field to be going to increase as the storm intensifies. And you can see this is the local time of Marianas, Comoros. You can see that around 10 p.m. their local time, it will pass well north of Guam. But again, I showed you the storm coverage earlier with wind field and the cloud cover definitely going to affect the northern islands of Pagan, Agrihan. It could reach as far south as Saipan, actually. That's why they have the tropical storm watch for the 3 islands that I mentioned earlier. Now we also have a JTWC around 00 Zulu warning, showing that west-northwest, again in agreement with the National Weather Service here, also showing that west-northwest would track an eventual recurvature towards Japan, although they are mainly west of NOGAPS, GFS and CMC at the moment, and seems to be favoring the ECMWF or the Euro model here. In terms of the forecast intensity, also expecting this to become a major typhoon, becoming 205 kph actually by day 6 as it moves well east of Okinawa there. And here we have JMA, also in good agreement with JTWC, also showing that west-northwest would track and then eventual turn to the north, although JMA seems to be much west in terms of projected landfall. If you extrapolate here, JTWC seems to be forecasting a landfall in Shikoku, while JTWC forecasting some sort of Kyushu landfall. But the timing seems to be in agreement, and JMA also expecting a very deep cyclone by about 920 hectopascals and about 95 knot storm by day 4 or 5 there. I mentioned again earlier there the influence of the ridge. We're also watching this developing disturbance east of the Philippines, in the middle of the Philippine Sea, that could influence the eventual track of Maon. Earlier, past 2 days, computer models are actually forecasting a brief southwestward movement by Maon as it reaches 140 east longitude here, because of this disturbance sort of pulling, not really pulling, but influencing the track of Maon. However, they have veered away from that forecast and is now expecting GFS, CMC and NOGAPS, for example, expecting that earlier recurvature, although we still have to watch this disturbance. This could certainly affect Maon. Just have to wait and see. You can see Maon's very broad circulation already being shown here on the satellite image. And again, southwest monsoon affecting northern Luzon, bringing rains, and you can also see that thunderstorm activity in Visayas and Mindanao. And again, that is all for the forecast. You can check out these official weather bureaus for your respective countries. JMA definitely for Japan for those official weather forecasts. And again, this is our update for today. Always be informed and updated. We'll have an update, hopefully by tomorrow. So bye.